That's 800-353-17.
A CRN original.
Attention, you are about to hear the captivating voice of an icon in the movie industry. You have heard him and seen him in performances in over 140 films. He's met and influenced many world leaders, and now he's about to tell you how to unite the America he loves.
That job's filled.
Unique. Brilliant. And unpredictable. Robert Davi is a Renaissance man who writes, directs, sings, and does it all with excellence.
Yeah, it's okay. We're all very impressed, but let's get on with it now.
Robert Davi believes he should use his voice to both repay and help unite America, the America that made his dreams come true.
No more Mr. Nice Guy.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Robert Davi Show. Hello, friends. Welcome to The Robert Davi Show. I'm your guest host, Mike Garey, today. Thank you so much for joining us here on CRNTalk.com, on Facebook.com/CRNTalk, or many of our fantastic loyal affiliates around the country, if not the world. A lot of stuff going on today, but I want to touch upon this. This is kind of the news of the week, and I've kind of been saving this because he got me a little bit hot under the collar. General Colin Powell, four-star general, passed away earlier this week at the age of 84 years old. The official cause of death was complications related to COVID. Before I get into Mr. Powell himself, I want to talk about the reaction to his passing in two different facets. The first one, I think the more immediate and venial track will go on, was regarding the COVID aspect. People are saying, oh, he was fully vaccinated. He died of COVID. Why do we need the vaccine? What are we doing here? General Colin Powell, over these past couple of years, has been battling multiple melanoma, which is a blood cancer, which is one of the comortalities listed among COVID-19. Any sort of blood cancer, be it Hodgkin's disease or lymphoma or multiple myeloma, that weakens your immune system. That's a cancer of the white blood cells. White blood cells are your immune system. So the dummies out there who are saying that, oh, well, Colin Powell died of COVID even though he had the vaccine, are what I just said, dummies, because this man had a weakened immune system due to a pre-existing condition. So there's that. The second thing that really bothered me about the passing of General Colin Powell. Well, let's go over Mr. Powell's bio real fast. A four-star, like I said. He joined the service, was first deployed to Vietnam as an advisor in the early 60s, 62, 63, as an advisor to ARVN, which is the Army of the Republic of Vietnam, the South Vietnamese Army. Then came back to Vietnam in 68 as the EO of the AmeriCal Division. A couple tours in Vietnam. Then, if you ever read about, the Army in general, post-Vietnam, the Army was broken. Morale was at an all-time low. And what Mr. Powell did is, the other young officers of that generation rebuilt the Army. They refocused the Army more on pivoting back to the Cold War, pivoting back towards traditional military engagements that would take place in the Fuda Gap in Germany, reprofessionalized the Army, some might say, especially amongst the young officer corps. That trickled down to, of course, the backbone of the Army, which is the NCO ranks. And then, of course, that led to his tenure as the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, where he pretty much was responsible administratively. He was the George Marshall to World War II, as General Colin Powell was to the First Gulf War. For people who didn't live through the First Gulf War, or don't really have recollections of it, it was one of the most, I would say, most important things to happen to the United States military up until that point, post-Vietnam. It really brought full faith and credit back to the United States Armed Forces. It was a just war. a war to expel Saddam Hussein's army of aggression from Kuwait, an army which committed all sorts of atrocities in Kuwait and looted its wealth as well. The strategy was flawless and impeccable. It was a limited war with the goals completely outlined before the first shot was fired in anger. Never was there an occupation planned. It was just to drive Saddam's forces out of Kuwait, cut off those forces, decimate those forces, and also very smartly keep Saddam in power. Oh, that's controversial opinion. Why would you keep Saddam in power, folks, as a buttress against Iran? Iran and Iraq fought a devastating 9-year war with millions of casualties on both sides. Kept everybody in the region happy. We have now a buttress against Iran through Iraq. And then now we've seen, once 2003 came along, we're going to touch upon this in a second, without that sort of Iraqi forces in place, or Saddam's regime in place to kind of keep Iran in check, now we've seen Iran become even more aggressive, be it sending its Quds forces into Iraq during the Iraq War, the Second Iraq War, sending Iran's Quds forces all over the region in its proxy wars against other nations. But what really bothered me, Nick, we can discuss whether or not what happened in the Second Iraq War with Colin Powell sitting in front of the United Nations making the case about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, which has proven to be false. But Colin Powell was a patriot. When he was first undergoing his training in Georgia as a young officer, taking the oath to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, he was not allowed to eat at the restaurants. He was not allowed to sit at the lunch counter, not allowed to use restrooms while he was training. And now, upon his passing, we see the left wing, the Twitter universe, those narcissists on Twitter who want to, show how woke they are, show how progressive they are, show how...
The tweeters.
Yeah, the tweeters.
The tweeters.
That we should celebrate this man's death. That he was a war criminal. That he lied. Look, folks, that's an academic discussion. First of all, it's incredibly uncouth, dare I say uncivilized, to stomp on a man's grave over something that happened, 20 years ago, and also something that he's not solely responsible for. If you want to blame anybody, blame President George W. Bush. Colin Powell was Secretary of State at the time. He wasn't commander-in-chief. He wasn't making the decisions to deploy the military overseas. He wasn't even working in the Department of Defense at that time.
Yeah.
And if you read the reporting, and if you read, the immense scholarship around that event, that famous speech in front of the UN, Colin Powell had his reservations, and so he made the acting CIA director at the time, who I believe was George Tenet, sit directly behind him. Colin Powell didn't fail. The intelligence community failed. Colin Powell wasn't the director of national intelligence. He wasn't CIA director. He was a national security advisor. He was Secretary of State. He was a diplomat. If you want to blame anybody for the war, blame George W. Bush. More so, what you want to do is you want to blame the Iraqi National Congress, who are all former regime members who left the country in exile, wanted to topple Saddam, rightly, but then lied about the conditions on the ground. Curveball, remember him? His famous source, anonymous source, that said that the Iraqi military industrial complex was developing quote-unquote nuclear weapons through yellow cake purchased in Nigeria. Colin Powell didn't fail. The intelligence community did. And NYC Southpaw and, Alex Perrine and all these coastal elite people that are just famous because they're woke on Twitter, going there dancing on Colin Powell's grave? Who's that help?
It's so annoying. I guarantee you they don't really even know anything about it either. They see one little headliner and like, boom, oh, they know everything.
Yeah, and they're stuck so far in the past. I understand that a lot of these left-wing Twitter people kind of came of age during the Iraq War. That was kind of like their political awakening. And they saw this as like, oh, we can get on the party. We can be like the 60s. We can, protest against the war. That's what all good leftists do. All good liberals do. Full disclosure, in the initial beginning, I felt that based on the evidence provided by the Intelligence Committee and by the administration, that war against Iraq was justified in a limited manner. I didn't believe toppling the regime was particularly necessary or smart. Remember what Colin Powell said, too. You break it, you buy it. We broke it, we bought it, and we left. People blame Barack Obama. Oh, why did we leave Iraq? That's what he campaigned on, and he won with a stunning majority. That's what representational democracy is about. We send people to office to do what we think is right, not the other way around. If you want to have lawmakers make unilateral decisions without any regard to their constituency, that's not representational democracy. That's a parliamentarian-style democracy. We don't have that. That's what they have in England. Kind of fought a war to, not do what they do in England. Remember? So, you can debate his legacy, but you don't need to celebrate his death. And what that does also is that sends all the other people on the other side of the aisle back into their corner. And then as a reaction, all the people on the other side of the aisle go back to their corner, and the tribalism continues. The vicious cycle continues.
And that's bad juju, too.
It's called tact. It's called decorum. Speak academically. Davi. Back in a minute. I'm hot today.
I'm Al Simon, 91 years young. I created Balance 7 20 years ago. At 67, I went to see the doctor for the first time in my life and found that I had medical problems. He told me that was normal for my age. I don't believe God intended us to be sick and old. I decided to find something to bring my health back. For 10 years, I studied pH and how important it is to the human system. Balance 7 gave me back what I lost by getting older. I no longer get out of bed with a joint discomfort. Balance 7 can do for you what it has done for me and many others. In 3 days' time, you'll feel more energy, less joint discomfort, and clarity of thinking. No doctor or hospital can do what Balance 7 can do for you. Balance 7 is the key to unlocking the healthy immune system. Bring your body back to balance. Order now. Receive free shipping with the code word AL. Go to balance7.com. That's balance7.com. Order now and get your free shipping and a free gift with your order. Go to balance7.com. Use the code word AL.
Do you want to fly somewhere, anywhere in the world? Smart travelers call myflightsearch.com for the best deals on flight tickets. Going to Manila, Bangkok, London, how about Singapore? Call myflightsearch.com for the lowest flight tickets available. What about a local vacation? Let's say you want to fly to Vegas, Orlando, Miami, Los Angeles, or Denver. Pick up the phone and call myflightsearch.com right now. We have exclusive deals that you can't find anywhere else. The only way you can get these low airline prices is by calling us. We have so many low prices available, we can't possibly tell them to you right here and now. If you're flying somewhere anytime in the next 6 months and you want the lowest airline ticket prices anywhere, you owe it to yourself to save a ton of money. So pick up your cell phone and call myflightsearch.com right now.
Call 800-445-3166. 800-445-3166. That's 800-445-3166. Call now. 800-445-3166.
What are you going to do with your old car? You can try selling it, you could junk it, or you could donate it to Heritage for the Blind. Your car will be towed away for free, and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-785-9618. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats. It doesn't matter if your vehicle runs or not. It will be towed away for free, and you'll be supporting those that need help. Heritage for the Blind is a nonprofit organization that helps the visually impaired live fuller lives. Call right now to donate your car, and as a special thank you for calling, you'll receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to many exciting locations. Call Heritage for the Blind right now. 1-800-785-9618. Donating is easy and your vehicle is towed away for free. Plus, you'll get a free vacation voucher. Call now, 1-800-785-9618. That's 1-800-785-9618.
Robert Davi.
I want you to know this is nothing personal. It's purely business.
We're back, Robert Davi Show. Mike Garey sitting in. Follow me on Twitter at Mike_Garey with an E. Nick, are you on Twitter?
Yes, I am. Nick__Davi. I haven't used it in a long time, but I'm on there.
Well, you should get on there, Nick, so you can see like all what, just get mad all the time. Because that's what happens, is I just go on there and I get mad.
That's why I've like steered clear of social media recently. It's just really, really affected like my anger. And it's just, it's a negative place, honestly, no matter where you are in it.
I mean, it's tough. It's tough. It's great but it's also up to the individual user. I mean, if you follow accounts that you don't like, just don't follow them, or you can mute terms and stuff like that. It's great, if you just follow like wire services, you can just get short bits of news throughout the day. Funny cat memes, that's always fun.
Yeah.
But it can be a pretty disgusting space sometimes.
Yeah, like when people bring like, I don't know, like their personal like issues onto it, like, oh, I'm gonna divorce you, and they like have that conversation on Twitter when that's something you should be talking about behind closed doors, Like,
oh my goodness, I see that on Facebook all the time too. I see that on Facebook constantly. Facebook sees that angry, political fights and pictures of your friends' kids. Speaking of Twitter, I just checked it, and we have a little bit of breaking news that, according to sources, Joe Manchin is considering changing parties. Right now, Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia is a Democrat, a centrist, even right-leaning Democrat. I wonder why. Because he's from West Virginia. He's managed to get himself elected to the U.S. Senate from West Virginia, a state that Donald Trump carried. President Donald Trump, excuse me. Even if you don't like the man, you have to respect the office. And Joe Manchin's been getting a lot of guff right now, Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia, like I said, from the Democratic Party of the left, because he's not woke enough. He's not up for spending $3.6 trillion. This bill, this budget reconciliation package, coupled with the infrastructure bill, this budget reconciliation package, Joe Manchin has said that he is a no unless servant carve-outs are made, including eliminating free college tuition, also certain climate measures. And people are like, Joe Manchin, you're a traitor to the Democratic Party. Speaking of representational democracy, how do you think he got elected to the U.S. Senate in West Virginia? By being a centrist, by being a moderate, by supporting policies that benefit his constituency. Here in California, we don't need coal-burning power plants. We don't have coal to burn. West Virginia, that's what they got. They're sitting on an oil of coal. Coal mining in West Virginia is what agriculture is to the Central Valley here in California. So what if AOC came out here and went to Dianne Feinstein? Oh, well, you can't go to Dianne Feinstein because she's missing in action. Or goes to, the other sitting California senator and says, hey, that lettuce you grow in the Central Valley, it's bad for the environment. Knock it off. Think that's going to work? No. And so now Joe Manchin, he's floating this, I'm sure, or his staff is floating this, because he wants to move this package, this $3.6 trillion package, he wants that under $2 trillion. And he wants things in that package taken out that West Virginians don't like. West Virginia, it's not Massachusetts. West Virginians don't en masse care about climate change initiatives. They want to make ends meet. It's that working class ethos, that constituency that was the Obama-Trump voter. The ones that voted for President Obama in 2012 and then voted for President Trump in 2016 because President Trump promised that he would be the candidate of the working man, of the blue-collar worker. And so Joe Manchin's floating this, I'm sure, for political gain. But the response to this, speaking of Twitter, just saw something that just... I got to be real careful here, Nick. Get that dump button ready in case I let one go. Dan Riffle. Previously was a staffer for, of course, John Conyers, Keith Ellison, and most lately, AOC. And so, in response to this news reporting that Senator Joe Manchin might switch parties, this is what he said. Quote, he should. It would be the politically smart thing to do. The D brand is toxic in West Virginia. That makes sense. He and Sinema should both leave. Would be a win-win. D's get rid of people undermining the party and feeding Dems in disarray narrative, and they avoid a tough primary. Cool, Mr. Riffle. That flips the Senate, dummy. Mitch McConnell now sets the agenda. You think you're going to get what you want? Mitch McConnell setting the agenda? No. Take what you can get. Don't let perfect be the enemy of the good. Compromise. I know that there's people on both sides that are obstructionists. Infrastructure bill had 67 votes in the Senate. The U.S. House of Representatives is holding that up. More specifically, the House Progressive Caucus, led by AOC and others, are holding that infrastructure bill up, bipartisan, polling through the roof, 67 votes in the Senate, because they want to couple it with this $3.6 trillion budget reconciliation package. It's either all or nothing. And so now the narrative, with Joe Biden sitting at 37% approval rating, is that he can't get anything done. No, Joe Biden can get something done. It's these loons in the House Progressive Caucus that got elected with like 2,500 votes in Brooklyn in a completely safe seat. And they want pie-in-the-sky things. They want not just free community college, folks, which I can get kind of behind. That's not too expensive. They want to wipe away all student debt, the largest transfer of wealth in human history. They want universal paid-for pre-K. That's a good idea. How's it going to be paid for? They want to eliminate all greenhouse-emitting carbon gases for power generation by 2030. How's that going to work? You want to start building nuclear power plants again? How'd that work out before? They're all closed now, folks. Solar? Do we have the panels? Do we even make the panels? Yeah, we make the panels. The capacity of panel infrastructure manufacturing here in America is somewhat robust. Nowhere near as robust as it is in China. What we're going to have to do is we're going to have to buy half those panels from China. Dan Riffle, what are you doing? It's like you're a little kid and you're sitting around the dinner table with your brothers and sisters, and your mom in her nice apron says you can either have pizza or broccoli. And then Dan Riffle, AOC, and the others say, no, we want pancakes. Well, you can either have pizza or broccoli. We want pancakes. We want pancakes. We want pancakes. Okay, you're getting the broccoli. Broccoli's Mitch McConnell. Broccoli's Republican agenda. Is that what you want? AOC, Dan Riffle, NYC Southpaw, Alex Perrine, Hamilton Nolan, Coastal Elites. What has happened to my party? Davi. Back in a minute.
The smartest way for you to get the lowest prices on your plane tickets, domestic or international, is to call SmartFares first or last, but you've got to call us before you book your plane tickets. Fly anywhere in the world, fly anywhere in the U.S., and SmartFares can save you up to 75% on your plane tickets. We have the lowest airline ticket prices on over 500 airlines, and you've got a great 12-hour free cancellation window. Plus, with our live agent help, you can always get fast help and fast answers. So on your next trip, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, how about right now? pick up your phone and call Smart Fares, plus save up to 75% on your plane reservation. So call right now. 800-915-2644, 800-915-2644, 800-915-2644, 800-915-2644.
For the getaway of your dreams, come to Hawaii's Playground, Ka'anapali Beach Resort, on the fun side of Maui, where the world comes to play. Find your spot on Ka'anapali Beach with 3 miles of white sand, 12 resort properties, 2 golf courses, and 2 shopping centers. Enjoy the playground of Hawaii's ancient royalty. Ka'anapali Beach Resort is Hawaii's original master planned destination resort and home of the Hawaii Food and Wine Festival. With views of 2 neighboring islands, you can breathe in the land's natural beauty from your favorite resort or golf fairway. Come experience Ka'anapali's own special brand of Hawaiian hospitality with world-class dining, relaxing resorts, water sports, and activities of every kind. For romantic, family, and great friend getaways, discover the options of Ka'anapali Beach Resort, where the world comes to play. Plan your getaway today. Visit Ka'anapaliResort.com. That's KAANAPALI Resort.com. Have you heard about Vine to Bar chocolate? It's the winemaker's chocolate, the world's first chocolate made with well-vined Chardonnay marc from the beautiful coastal vineyards of North America. Gently pressed grapes are harvested after juicing, dried and finely milled and carefully blended into the finest dark chocolate. The Chardonnay marc contains highly beneficial grape nutrients, flavonols, and has a natural sweetness that flavors the luscious dark chocolate. Mouth-watering, flavorful, delectable dark chocolate goodness with Chardonnay sweetness and beneficial nutrients. And it's alcohol-free, too. It's Vine to Bar chocolate. Order some today at vinetobar.com. That's VINETOBAR.com. Cold shipped to your door, it's Vine to Bar. Vine to Bar chocolate. Visit us at vinetobar.com.
Does your current bathroom need to be updated immediately? Introducing One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling, the complete and hassle-free way to get the new bathroom of your dreams in as little as 1 day and for as little as $199 a month. Yes, the experts at One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling will come to you anywhere in the country and show you all the customized options. Now you can have a brand new bathroom in as little as 1 day. Large or small bathrooms, if you want a new bathtub or shower installed, we can do it in as little as 1 day. And if you call right now, you can save $750 off your remodel. We make it easy by offering you financing as low as $199 per month. Call now to schedule your free in-home consultation.
855-525-7454. 855-525-7454. That's 855-525-7454.
The Robert Davi Show.
This is authentic.
Una furtiva lagrima negli occhi.
We're back. Robert Davi. I have an assignment. Can't wait to for him to come back and fill us in about his mission.
I know it's going to be an interesting one, isn't it?
It sure is, folks. Just real fast, I took a 2x4 to Dan Riffle in this last segment. I want to add one more thing. If you go on his Twitter his page and you read his profile, his last soliloquy in his profile is, "Every billionaire is a policy failure." Okay. So you build a business, build that business up. Is he talking about every billionaire? I mean, it's one thing if you're a scion of the Vanderbilt family, or, your great-grandfather owned some banana plantation in the Philippines and has got blood in his hands, but you're some kid that, built a tech company in your dorm room. Policy failure? All right. All right, this one's a little bit tricky to talk about, but we're going to delve into it anyways. Headline of this copy: MIT cancels speech by University of Chicago professor following backlash. So Dorian Abbot's a brilliant geophysicist. He is the said-mentioned professor at the University of Chicago, an amazing school. I believe that's where Einstein taught. Let's look at this gentleman's CV. Abbott completed his bachelor's in physics from a little school we like to call Harvard, and then got his PhD in only 4 years upon graduation from undergrad, which is like impossible.
Wait, how does that even happen? Like, was he just like nonstop? Like,
it means you're really smart,
or he's just grinding.
Well, it's both. You're grinding, and you're brilliant. That PhD in applied mathematics from another little school we like to call Harvard. From 2008 to 2009, in his postdoctorate work, he was a postdoctoral research in Earth and Planet Scientists at Harvard. And then he conducted his postdoctoral research program in geophysical sciences at the University of Chicago. He's now the assistant professor of geophysical sciences at the University of Chicago. And his known research and area of expertise is using low-order mathematical models and numerical models to research climates, paleoclimates, planetary habitability, and exoplanets. So he was invited to go speak at MIT about climate science. And he wasn't canceled because he was going in there saying that burning fossil fuels makes baby deers more supple. He believes in climate change. Yeah. He spent his career researching it. He's one of our foremost climate scientists. If anybody want to have to talk about climate change, it's this guy. But MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, they canceled this lecture by this prestigious scholar, Mr. Abbott, because he quote-unquote has divisive political views. Okay. Is he a Proud Boy? No. Is he a TERF? Nope. Is he a slavery apologist? Nope.
None of those things.
He believes in a different paradigm for what is known as affirmative action. He believes that college admissions, both undergrad, grad, and doctoral and postdoctoral, should be based solely on merit, not on quotas.
How do you feel about that?
Well, let's finish his point. If you read that in a tweet, 140 characters, like, oh my God, racist.
Yeah.
How could he? How could you discount the institutional racism, redlining, warfare of poverty against disparate communities when it comes to college admissions? Burn the witch. It's not his position, folks. Mr. Abbott's position is not so. But you can't put that in a tweet. It doesn't fit. His true position is that the institutions of higher learning, specifically the ones with large private endowments like Harvard, $39 billion endowment, they should take a large chunk of that money and directly fund programs at the secondary school level that would help these communities.
100%.
For example, free SAT tutoring, means-tested tutoring. Come from a low-income neighborhood? Programs that allow you access to those tutoring, access to technology, access to one-on-one mentorship.
Yeah, some kids really need that.
To put those kids on track to get into Harvard without needing the quota system. That sounds like a brilliant idea. But he's been canceled, at least from this MIT event. Because the headline reads, when you're on Twitter, Dorian Abbot hates affirmative action. Even in his Wikipedia page here, and it should be noted that Wikipedia can be edited by anybody. They give his bio. It's a short paragraph. Very last sentence. Abbott opposes affirmative action programs. Really? Doesn't sound like to me. What he's suggesting is a different paradigm to make science especially more competitive in the global marketplace. I think this is a fantastic idea to reform this system. But Abbott opposes affirmative action programs. There has been some people on the left who have come to his defense, who actually read his proposal. But that doesn't work on Twitter. And once the cat's out of the bag, once this, you get somebody with a couple 100,000, couple million Twitter followers who has become the prima donna of left-wing Twitter, just puts out Dorian Abbot hates affirmative action, therefore is racist. That just spreads like wildfire. MIT, and it should be noted that MIT, it's not like they're, they sat around the old table and said, okay, this is problematic. This guy's got to go. This is a result of what has become the new Kristallnacht. Might get in trouble for using this analogy. The student petition. I remember these. There was a lot of wacky ones where I went to school. But the student petition has now become the fatwa in academic circles. These student activist groups, they're not protesting against a war. They don't like what this guy thinks. More so, they don't like what this guy thinks, but they didn't even know what he thinks. They didn't read the whole program, the whole proposal. They just saw the headline on Twitter. They just saw it in someone's Instagram story. I don't even know what that is.
That's one of the number one things that bothers me about our generation. It's just nobody reads anything ever. Scoop deer, folks. Read books. You're not going to get this kind of information on a listicle. You're not going to get it in a Twitter thread. So here we have one of the nation's most prestigious climate change experts. Someone who's fighting for good. Climate change is... Robert Davi, he agrees. Climate change is real, folks. 100%. My dad's believed in that since day one.
I have so much respect for him, because to say that when he did in conservative circles was heresy. But he stuck to his guns because he's brave. Man has principles.
He's not afraid of his opinions at all. Like a lot of people are nowadays, because they're always afraid they're going to be saying the wrong thing, which sometimes, a lot of people...
Well, it's become orthodoxy. It's become, heretical if you step outside of any position. Dorian Abbot, you come to this show if you want to. MIT, you're cowards. Davi, back in a minute.
Let's talk about your credit cards. When you first start using them, it's a slow drip. You make charges, then more charges, then bills come. And they keep coming. When you open your statements, the floodgates come pouring in. You realize you have more credit card debt than you can afford, and you're barely making the minimum payments. Wouldn't it be nice to make one affordable payment and have all your credit card bills covered? Make this free call and learn our responsible way to get your credit card bills paid and under control.
Sponsored by Consumer Education Services, a nonprofit organization.
800-876-3643. 800-876-3643. 800-876-3643. That's 800-876-3643.
CESI is not a loan company. The establishment of a debt management plan may adversely affect your credit rating. Non-payment of debt may lead creditors to increase finance and other charges to undertake collection activity, including liquidation.
If Ernest Hemingway was alive today, would he say this to you?
Shakespeare, Mark Twain, Edgar Allan Poe, all great writers. And after reading your book, I simply must add you to the list.
Wait, you don't have a book yet. So make a free call to Page Publishing. Their expert staff can help you turn your book idea into a real book, a masterpiece that could someday make the bestseller list in hard copy and digitally all across the world. Page Publishing can help you completely take your idea for a book, write it, and publish it. So if you want to join the ranks of some of the most famous authors in the world, call now for for a free information kit. Turn your book idea into publishing gold. Make a free call right now to Page Publishing.
800-378-3212. 800-378-3212. 800-378-3212. That's 800-378-3212.
Hi, my name is Lily. My mom and dad used to fight about money all the time. Then one day, I heard them talking about this guy, some uncle I never knew, called Uncle Sam. Well, they say this Uncle Sam guy wanted them to pay him like $1 gazillion, and they didn't have $1 gazillion. So they called this company they heard on the radio called the Tax Doctor. And the Tax Doctor worked with Uncle Sam's people. I think they're called the IRS. And they were able to work it out so my mom and dad didn't have to pay Uncle Sam very much money at all. So now mom and dad are happy, and I'm happy too. Thanks, Tax Doctor.
If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS or state, call now and pay less. 800-391-8713. 800-391-8713. That's 800-391-8713.
The Robert Davi Show.
Mike? You let me down, Mike. You're making me look bad. I thought we had an understanding. And all I expect is a little cooperation!
Sorry, Robert. We're back. Robert Davi Show. I'm Mike Garey, sitting in for Robert Davi on assignment, Special Projects Division. As always, you can find this show available on podcast. Search for the Robert Davi Show podcast, wherever you get your fine podcasts. In fact, you can say, Alexa. First of all, you want to say hello, because you don't want to be rude. You just want to shout at Alexa, do this. Come on. Be nice. Be polite. Say, hey, Alexa, how you doing? And she'll say, fine, thank you. And then you say, play the Robert Davi Show podcast. And voila. It's right there. You want to hear something kind of sad and pathetic, Nick?
Yes.
So, I live alone, single guy.
Me too, man. I mean, I don't live alone yet, but I will be.
Well, you're going to have that mansion in Beverly Hills as soon as, get that next role. I'm going to live in your guest house.
Hell yeah. I'm down for that. I need a roommate, honestly. Split the bills. If I'm going to be living in Beverly Hills, oh God, it's going to be pretty expensive.
So I told Alexa I loved her.
Really? What happened? What happened? I've done this with Siri, and you know what she said to me?
What'd Siri say to you?
She's like, I'm sorry, but I just don't understand.
I've heard that before, but not from Siri. But I saw it. Well, this is what Alexa said. Alexa said, thanks. It wasn't like a thank you. She didn't say it back or anything like that,
They should make it so that it says it back. Have you seen that movie with Walken Phoenix?
Yeah, Her. Yeah, Spike Jonze directed it.
It's making me think of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a great movie.
There's another one. Mark that down in the book. Another woman I said, oh, I love you too, and didn't get back. So, all right, moving on. Anywho. All right. If you've listened to this program before when I've, when Robert's so graciously let me take the reins as a guest host, I like to use this last segment to talk about something a little fun. And I want to introduce a new segment to this show. This is the First Time to Me movie review section.
Yes.
There's a lot of movies out there. I consider myself a quote-unquote film buff. But I've kind of moved away from movies because it's so nice now to watch, binge watch new TV shows that are on all those streaming platforms.
Very true. I gotta hop on that wave because I'm slowly running out of movies to watch because I've seen so many films. It's crazy.
What's really fun too, you can go on the AFI, the American Film Institute's website, and you can print out a PDF of their top 100, and you can just kind of go through the list. It's kind of fun, and they have by genre too, or if you top comedies, top horror, so on and so forth.
What was it? What was it called again?
The AFI website, AFI.com.
AFI.com. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out.
And so there's a lot of great series out there. Just finished the Squid Game. That was exceptional.
Don't tell me anything.
I will. No spoiler-free zone. At least for the shows. I will. When we talk about movies that are over 25 years old, which we're about to, we're gonna have spoilers.
Yeah. Sorry.
Quick PSA about the Squid Game. First of all, really violent, not really appropriate for certain people, such as 3-year-old sisters. And also, if you're going to watch it, it's on Netflix, folks. If you're going to watch it, make sure to go into Netflix settings and change the audio settings. By default, it comes with Enter the Dragon style dubbing. This is a Korean show produced in Korean with Korean language. And they've done this with other programs as well, international programs such as El Chapo, which is another show I recommend on Netflix. But by default, those particular shows, they come with dubbings, Enter the Dragon style, so it's like the sync doesn't mess up or anything like that. But you can go into the settings of Netflix itself and the audio settings. You can change it where it's original Korean from spoken dialogue from the actors with English subtitles.
Which is going to be much, much better because following someone's facial expressions while hearing something else, and it's going to be a little delayed because the language, the way they speak, their language is like a lot longer to say one thing. You know, so it's just going to be all like weird looking and it's going to be confusing.
Exactly. And the translations aren't, I mean, they don't translate idiosyncratically to, exactly to English.
Yeah.
And so it's just, it's not as good. So I recommend that. Also, Narcos, the last season of Narcos Mexico is November 5th. Keep your calendar open for that. And just over the wires right now is that Ozark, a fantastic Netflix series starring Jason Bateman, and I believe he's the kind of showrunner behind that too. Its last season will come to Netflix in January.
It's the last season of that show?
That's correct.
Wow.
So let's get into the new to me movie reviews. I like Martin Scorsese's directing immensely. He's a great director.
Probably one of the best of all time.
Quite possibly.
Arguably one of the best. I wouldn't say best, but because there's so many greats, it's impossible to say, oh, he's the best for sure. But he's up there.
But yeah, I mean, quintessentially, if you think of like the Mount Rushmore of American filmmakers, he's going to be up there. Yeah. Maybe Coppola, maybe Michael Mann, others. I mean, it's all personal preference. It's art. So I've seen most of his movies. So I had the list, and I was going through what movies I haven't seen. And of course, I love Casino. That's probably my favorite movie he's ever done. Goodfellas, of course, is great. I really like Gangs of New York. Gangs of New York is really good. But there's a couple that I missed. And so over the past couple of months, I've been going through. I watched Cape Fear. Phenomenal.
That's a good one.
Phenomenal.
Every time I watch that one, there's always something I've missed. And it's just like, what?
The original is great too, the Gregory Peck. But the Cape Fear, Martin Scorsese remake, Nick Nolte, and of course, Robert De Niro's absolutely fantastic. Juliette Lewis, fantastic. One that got past me, though, that I watched last night is The Color of Money. Color of Money is kind of unofficial sequel to The Hustler, Paul Newman. Came out in the early 60s. It's about pool players.
Have you seen The Hustler?
Years ago.
Okay.
Years ago. So maybe it would have been wise for me to watch The Hustler first and then continue on.
But you've still seen it, though, so I don't know if it really matters.
Yeah, I know the story.
At that point.
Yeah, I know, you know the story. The Color of Money, Paul Newman reprising his original role from The Hustler, a young Tom Cruise, Mary Stuart, Master Antonio, a young John Turturro.
What was the bartender's name? What was her name?
Oh, I forget her name, but she was good. A very young, Ghost Dog. I hate it when this happens.
I know the names.
It's not Lawrence Fishburne. But I'll look that up. Color of Money. Not that good, folks. My opinion. I know.
I get why you're saying that, though, because it builds up something, and then all of a sudden, it turns into something else.
There's a twist. So there is a twist. The twist wasn't executed well.
But it's just a little. It's a letdown kind of.
It is a letdown. You think it's one thing, and it's another.
It would have been much better if they went the other way,
Yeah.
Like he coached him up,
That's what I was expecting.
Yeah.
And it's, it didn't work out that way. It also felt just by watching this movie that probably the original cut was maybe like 3 hours, 30 minutes. And then they whittled that down to maybe 2:28, which happens a lot.
See, when that happens, though, things always go wrong. Always. Like the most recent movie to do that was Zack Snyder's Justice League, right?
100%.
When his version of the film came out,
great,
billion times better.
So much better.
Billion times better.
So much better.
It was. See, I don't think they should touch movies because I get some people. They're a little impatient. They want things happening all the time, but that's not what movies used to be.
Well,
movies used to be like books.
Exactly, but I found a reason why, and I was doing some research about another great film, Cobra, Sylvester Stallone, that came out in the 80s. that actually was, that original cut was almost 3 hours as well, but they whittled that down too. And I'm like, well, okay. I mean, maybe always thought it was because the studio executives thought that people's attention spans weren't long enough and people want to sit in the theater for 3 hours. That's part of it, but not the main reason why. And when this was explained to me, it was like a moment.
Really?
Is that the majority reason why they trim it down is so you can have more screenings of that same movie in that same theater on that same day. More money. You got a 3-hour movie, right? So you got a showing at 10. You got a showing at 1:45. You got another showing at 5. And then maybe the last showing at 8:20.
Very true. I never thought about that.
You got a 90-minute movie. You got a showing at 10. You got a showing at noon. You got a showing at 2. You got a showing at 4. You got a showing at 6, 8, and even a late night at 10:05. So your 3-hour movie gets shown in one theater 4 times a day. Your 90-minute movie gets shown 7 times a day. More money.
That's way more money. Not even just like small numbers. That's
big.
Way more money.
And also, this is, this kind of paradigm was before you saw a lot of the megaplexes where you can have 2 movies playing in the same megaplex. You have your 8-theater megaplex. Like, I remember when Terminator 2 came out. I went down to my Edwards 10, which had 10 theaters in the megaplex, and they're showing Terminator 2 on 3 screens. You can do that. But so the Hustler, wrapping up the review, it was okay. One thing I will say about it, though, is that Paul Newman was kind of out of the business by the time that I really came of age. I think the first new movie I saw with Paul Newman actually in it was The Road to Perdition, which he was amazing in. Paul Newman is exceptional.
Did you know that he was supposed to be Rocky?
Really?
He was supposed to be Rocky, but then I forget exactly why he turned it down. It could have been money. He could have been doing something else. But then when he turned down the role, that's when Stallone was like, I wrote it, I'll do it. And then he did it.
Well, he was in his early 50s by the time in Rocky. So,
yeah.
But yeah, so Color Money, it was okay. Paul Newman was exceptional in it. But
I mean, as he always is.
As he always
kind
is.
of expected.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the actors. It's more of the story and how it ended up.
Yeah,
pretty much.
So brass tacks, though, studio executives, especially now streaming, let the directors make what they want to make. Don't lock them out of the editing room.
That's the worst thing you can do, because you want them to release trash or you want them to release art.
You want to release something that's going to stand the test of time?
Exactly. You need to make something perfect.
Davi, I'm Mike Garey. See you guys later. Take care. God bless America.